March and I welcome you all at the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video, and in today's video we are going to discuss entire analysis of Hindu newspaper. We'll take all the articles, we'll see the background wherever it is needed, the way forward in articles, and I would like to tell you that you can download the notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Now, first of all, before starting the session, I would like to give you a brief overview of today's newspaper so that you can understand that which articles are there, which articles are important for our examination, and which articles should only be read in headlines, etc. Fine. Now, first of all, guys, moving on. Chief Justice of India refers petitions on same-sex marriage to Constitution bench. So we have taken this article yesterday also, that after Navtej Singh Johar judgment of 2018, Section 377 got decriminalized. Section 377 criminalized homosexuality, where a man is involved in a sexual relation with man, or a woman is involved in sexual relation with a woman. So homosexuality was a criminal activity, but Section 377 got decriminalized. However, the status of same-sex marriages, fine, was not clear, and the same-sex people, same-sex couples, they have approached the courts and have asked that they should be allowed to get married under the provisions of Special Marriage Act. So same-sex marriages should be allowed. Now that petition is there in the Supreme Court, okay, and this matter has been referred to the Constitution bench. Okay, now yesterday we have seen that already Union government has given an affidavit, and they said that this matter is a policy matter. Ultimately, if any decision has to be taken, then Parliament should take that decision and not the Supreme Court. Okay, so this matter has now reached to Constitution bench, and we'll see that what judgment it will be coming out with. Till then, you are not required to track everyday development in this direction. Then further, moving on. After that, guys, Natu, the elephant whisperer bring home to Oscars. So guys, after 2009 Slumdog Millionaire, now here we see that the RRR movie got the Oscar or the Academy Award. Okay, so now this particular, and the second is Elephant Whisperer, which is a documentary, okay, which has got the Oscar prize. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that why this is important, because it is an Indian production that had got that. Okay, it is an Indian production. Okay, so this is a important thing. However, for your UPSC examination, guys, you are not required to go too much in detail, fine, because such kind of things are usually not asked. Then further, moving on in this particular direction, retail inflation stays above 6%. Now guys, for the month of February, retail inflation was 6.44%. Now as per the mandate given to Monetary Policy Committee, inflation in India should stay in the band of 2% to 6%, should not go above 6%, but now it has crossed 6%, okay, which is something which is something which is to be controlled. However, you are not required to, guys, go and track month by month inflation data for your exam point of view. Then further, moving on, SEBI probing market allegation on Adani Group. So recently this Hindenburg issue happened, and after that Adani Group's transactions, Adani Group's financial proprietariness is being checked by the SEBI. Fine. Are you required to go too much in detail? No. Ahead of polls, DART mobilization. So political article, Minister of External Affairs is planning to train our officials, claim Taliban. Okay, so guys, here the Taliban, now see, when we talk about India's policy with respect to the grouping such as the Taliban, we have always maintained a kind of a distance from such kind of groupings. Okay, but now after the regime got changed in Afghanistan, since the USA had withdrawn, so India's foreign policy is changing. Okay, and here Taliban itself is claiming that they will be trained by MEA. Okay, that is something that has been provided. Okay, so now guys, basically whether this thing is true or not, it has to be seen. Okay, so that is something. So why? Because the statement is not coming from MEA's side, the statement is coming from the side of Taliban. Okay, then further moving on. After that, on city section, we have political, regional issues, these tenders, advertisements, etc. Much important things have not been contained here. So guys, we will continue to move, and we'll reach to editorial section. And in editorial section, the first article that we can see, a chance for India to shape a data governance regime. We'll see this article with respect to examination. Then side article, a fragile momentum. So this article, guys, is talking about the movement of industrial output. Okay, so 5.2% uptick was there in the IIP. Now, every month this article guys come here, and I have told you many number of times that you are not required to track month by month data about the IIP's movement with respect to the GDP's movement, every month's data's inflation, etc. Fine, because by the time you'll write your exam, these things will drastically be changing. A resilient India but growth pangs for China. So guys, this particular article is talking about that this year China has taken a target of that their expectation of GDP growth. They have taken at a moderate level, not that much high, not that much high targets they have taken, because they understand the dynamics. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. In this particular article, however, more about the China's economy, their prospects, internal prospects, etc. has been discussed. So much of academic content for our exam is not there in this article. So I'll not recommend you to go too much in deep in this particular article, because it is pertaining to a lot of microscopic economic dynamics within the China. Then true colors. So this article talks about the Oscar awards. Okay. Then further moving on, a reality check for foreign universities. Okay, so guys, we will see this article also. Striving to repair strain types, BJP, AIA, DMK. Political article, no need to go. Here we see this thing that WPL, that is the Women Premier League, is not a token gesture but a hard fought win. So basically the performance, matches played by India, the performance, all these things are being tracked. Then going to text and context, understanding the Saudi-Iran detente. So recently we have seen that a deal has been brokered by China where diplomatic ties will be restored between Saudi Arabia and Iran. This is going to be a very big development for the West Asia region as it is concerned. We'll see this article. Then further moving on, after that, how a paper on room temperature superconductivity is creating controversy. We'll see this article also, but you are not required to go too much in detail as what this controversy is all about. Fine, because then it becomes a too technical. However, we need to understand the superconductivity, the issues related to that and all such things. Then further moving on, Parliament disrupted as BJP seeks apology from Rahul over UK speech. So political article, guys, no need to go too much here in detail. Okay, then further moving on, expunge remarks on Rahul. Fine, so largely these are the political issues that are there. Okay, marriage is a matter of policies, says Rijiju on same-sex union. So we already have seen this on the page number 1. House panel pulls up Labour Ministry for underutilization of allocation of its schemes. So guys, it has been provided that the money that has been allocated by the budget to the Labour Ministry for the welfare schemes, the money is not being used. However, not very much required that you go and track these numbers as such. Then further moving on, Election Commission tells Allahabad High Court that it does not have power to ban caste-based political rallies. So guys, often we see this particular thing that many of the caste leaders, they take the caste rallies where they try to mobilize the people of a particular caste. Now this particular thing goes against the idea of the casteless India. We have seen that often the caste is not only a tool for mobilizing a particular set of people, rather it also becomes a tool to divide the people on caste lines. But Election Commission, they said that they don't have any power in that line. That is all about it, nothing more than that. Then further moving on, India remains world's largest importer of arms, Cipri Report. We'll see this article. Activist flags RTA Amendment in data protection bill. We'll see this article also with respect to exam. Then further, guys, moving on in this particular direction. Fine. Supreme Court wraps Ministry of Defense over one rank one pension. So we briefly see what is this one rank one pension. We'll take this article. Health Minister urges private hospital to start medical colleges. Okay, so that now this is just a kind of a suggestion that has been given by the Health Minister, because we see this thing that there in terms of the medical education, we see that there is a far shortage of available number of seats. So they can start that. Such a suggestion has been given. Then further, these many travelers put on no-fly list, not very much important article. 246 vultures spotted in synchronized survey in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka. Okay, now guys, so here we see this particular thing that the estimation has been carried between Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka on the vultures. Now understand this thing that vulture population actually is very important for India, because vultures, they are the natural scavengers. Okay, so because of that they are very important, but in the past few years we have seen that the population of vultures have declined significantly. There are many reasons for that, and biggest reason is diclofenac poisoning. So diclofenac was used in kettles, okay, and when the diclofenac Now, when those kettles die and when vultures consume those kettle, because of the diclofenac, many of the vulture populations got declined. And now we are conserving the vultures. And for that, from time to time, the estimation exercises are also taken up. Then further moving on, China will play an active part in global governance, says she. Find everything everywhere all at once, conquers Oscars with 7 wins. Okay. Now, one thing I want to address, guys, here, that see, now there will be so many of the YouTube videos that will be made particularly on the Oscar, all the movie categories and all such kind of a things, and the videos will claim that they are very relevant for UPSC examination. Not much, because guys, such kind of things are largely not asked too much in our examination, and you need to see patterns for that. So please don't go mad over these Oscars and don't make a 4-5 page notes out of that. Russia an acute threat, China an epoch defining challenge, UK. Now see, basically guys, every other day there will be some statements that will be made by China, sometime by US, sometime by UK. Now you are not required to really go too much in detail in such kind of things. Fine. Then further moving on, going to business page, retail inflation for February, performance of Sensex, Nifty, fine, it slides, all these things, and largely the corporate trends, etc. have been given. Fine. Now guys, uh, on the business page as well as in international page, I have said you that only those issues will be important which have some academic undertone. Every other thing is not important. Okay, here we see this thing. India set to seek upgrade from global rating agencies. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about India, India has, now see, every country is given a rating, okay, and that particular rating, for now, that every country is given a particular rating, and that rating is seen by the investors, and that rating is based on a lot of number of things: political environment of a nation, economic condition of a nation. Now when we talk about, guys, India, so India's investment grade rating that has been given, that is BBB minus and BAA3. Okay, now this is the lowest type of rating that is there, and India is seeking for an upgrade because it is being said that India's economic conditions have improved a lot after COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, whether it will be given or not, we will see that in the times to come. Then we have this sports page. So this is, guys, overview of entire newspaper. I hope that you have understood that what are the important things that are contained in the newspaper, what are the things that are really important for our exam. Now let's start with the discussion one by one in detail. Okay, so every class, guys, we take a GS quotation, and this GS quotation can be used to complement our answers in GS 1, 2, 3, 4 paper. And today we'll take the quotation from Joseph Wardlaw. Joseph Wardlaw says, morality is religion in practice. Morality is religion in practice, and religion is morality in principle. Religion is morality in principle. Now see, often, guys, we say this. Now often in the name of religion, many wrong things are justified. In the name of religion, many types of injustices are justified. Now if those kind of things are being done in the name of religion, then that is not the true religion. Religion, what is the religion? Religion is morality in principle. Religion will promote only those things which are ethical, which are moral, which will bring the best of best for a human. So religion is morality in principle, and morality is religion in practice. Now morality is religion in practice. Now religion in practice and religion in theory are two different things. Religion in practice means, now see, from where the word religion comes. The word religion comes from the word religare. Religare. Religare means to bind. What it binds? Religion binds the loose impulses within the humans. Religion binds people with the people. But today, religion has not become the binder. Rather, the religion often becomes a divider. So that is the different connotations of religion, which actually were never desired by religion itself. Okay, so when we talk about the morality, what is morality? Morality is religion in practice, practicing religion for the actual thing for which it was meant to be. Okay, and there are many other kind of interpretations that you can also make out of this particular quotation. Fine. This is the beauty of the quotations. So this quotation we can use very conveniently in GS paper number 4. We can use it in essay paper. Now moving on, and let's take the first article for today. The first article that we will be taking up for today, it will be important for GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, defense sector. Okay, now guys, what has happened? Cipri report has been released. Now Basically, first of all, what do we understand by this Cipri report and what are the takeaways from this particular report? So basically, guys, we see this particular thing that the Cipri, it is a think tank which is based in Sweden, and this particular think tank, it every year releases its reports with respect to the trends in weapon import, weapon export, and all such kind of things. So Cipri stands for Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Okay, Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. And this Cipri report that has been released, this particular report says that since 1993, actually, India is one of the largest importer of the weapons. And particularly if we talk about the past 5 years, that is from 2018 to 2023, or between 2018 to 2022, during this particular time also, India has stayed as the largest importer of weaponaries. Now, these particular kind of guys references you can use to authenticate your answers. Okay. So, according to that, it is being provided that India has been the largest importer of weapon between 2018 to 2022. Though India's absolute number of imports have been reduced. See, India's imports have been reduced, dropped by 11% between 2013 to 27 and 2018 to 2022. So if we compare these two periods, India's weapon imports have been dropped by 11%, but still India is the largest importer. That is something. Now, and when we talk about who are the major suppliers to India, so Russia happens to be the largest supplier of arms to India. Russia happens to be the largest supplier of arms to India. Fine. And France happens to be the second supplier of the weaponry to India. So number one is Russia, number two is France. However, understand that though Russia is the biggest supplier, but still the weapon that we are importing from Russia, that number has also been reduced. So earlier, 64% of India's weaponry 64% of India's weaponry used to come from Russia, but now this number has been reduced to 45%, but still Russia is the largest. Then when we talk about India, guys, India is a largest export market to three of the countries. Which these three countries are? Russia. So Russia's biggest market is in India. France's biggest market is in India, and Israel's biggest market is also there in India. And the South Korea's second largest market is in India. Okay, so therefore, this is something that is going on. Now, basically it has been provided, guys, that what are the reasons that India is importing so much of the weaponaries. Now, in this particular direction, it has been provided that first of all, India's tensions with Pakistan's. Moreover, now India is facing a threat of two front war. On one hand there is Pakistan, on one hand we have China. So India is sandwiched between two hostile neighbors, and because of that India's vulnerabilities increase, and therefore to showcase its to ensure its internal as well as external security, India's imports have increased. Now today 11% of total 11% 11% of total share of a minute. Okay, so today 11% share of the total global arm imports is by India. Fine. Now further, the article is also talking about that this particular thing, that the Russia's position is right now under pressure. Fine. Why? Because a lot of pressure is being put on India, where it is being said that right now, because of Russia-Ukraine war, many countries are imposing sanctions on Russia, and Western world particularly wants India also that they should not procure much of weapons from Russia. So therefore, the Russia is facing these kind of tensions. Now anyhow, guys, anyhow a very big ticket import from Russia is still pending. That is the import of S-400 Triumph, which is an air defense system that we are importing from Russia. This procurement is more than $5 billion. Okay, so these are the issues in this particular direction. I hope, guys, that you have understood it, and now we are moving to next article. Okay, understanding the Saudi-Iran Detente. Understanding the Saudi-Iran Detente. Now, basically, guys, first of all, if we focus on the map here, now we find that first of all there is Iran. Fine. Here there is a Saudi Arabia. Okay. Fine. So this is the respective location that you can see here. Now, first of all, let me tell you very briefly that what are the developments that have happened. So we have discussed this particular article yesterday also, But today in little bit more detail, we are going to discuss this particular issue, and this happens to be a very, very big development in this particular direction. Now, basically guys, when we talk about the Saudi Arabia and Iran, Saudi Arabia and Iran, these two countries had a hostile relation from past few years. Understand this particular thing, that first of all, since 1979, when Iranian revolution happened, Iranian revolution happened, and after this 1979 Iranian revolution, what happened? Iran became a Shia theocratic republic. Iran became a Shia theocratic republic. And because of this particular thing, what happened? A kind of an ideological difference between Iran and Saudi Arabia got cemented. How? It is because of this particular fact that when we talk about Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia is a Sunni majority country. But at the same time, Iran has embraced Shia theocratic republic nature. And because of the rivalry between the Shiites and the Sunniites, fine, this particular differences became very much huge, and the problem started to begin. And after that, what happened? Since 1979, both Iran and Saudi Arabia wanted to become the regional players. Both have competing interest. Both were the major suppliers of the oil and gas. So because of this particular competing nature also, the rivalries started to increase. And since then, what had happened? The problem has increased to such an extent that in 2016, the diplomatic relations between the Saudi Arabia and Iran also got suspended. Why these diplomatic relations got suspended? It is because of this particular region. What happened? That there was a embassy of the Saudi Arabia in Tehran, which was overrun by protesters. Okay, why? Because the Saudi Arabia had executed a Shia cleric. Okay, a Shia religious personality was executed by Saudi Arabia, and this particular thing was not liked. There was a lot of repulsion, and because of that, the diplomatic relations got completely suspended. Now, basically, guys, because of this particular thing, what has happened? There was a diplomatic relation suspended. Now, China has brokered a peace agreement between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And as per this peace agreement that has been brokered by China, full diplomatic relations will again be restored between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Now, so what is happening? Just a minute. So what is happening now? They are restoring the relations again. Now, first of all, we don't have a very clear idea that what are the details of these particular, what are the final details of this particular agreement, because that thing has not come out in public. Okay, so final details have to be come out, but some things that we know till now is that, number one, Iran has agreed that no attack will be made from the Iranian side against the Saudi Arabia. And guys, in the past few years, we have seen this particular thing, that there are the particular parts of Yemen. There are particular parts of Yemen which are being controlled by the Houthis. Now, over these Houthis, it has been said that the Iran has a lot of control, and through the Houthis, Iran is trying to execute attacks against Saudi Arabia. Through Houthis, Iran is organizing the attacks against Saudi Arabia. So Iran has agreed that now we will not use the Houthi control parts of the Yemen to carry out the attacks on Saudi Arabia. Okay, this is something that has been provided here. Okay, so guys, here we see there's the Yemen. Here we see this is Yemen. Here we see there is a Saudi Arabia. So basically, there are the Houthi controlled territories from which the attacks are being carried, on which Iran has a control. So it is being said that that thing will now be stopped. So this is something fine. Other final, moreover, further it has also been provided that the economic relations which has also been suspended between the Iran and Saudi Arabia, they will also be restored. Now, this is something that has happened. Now, understand this thing, that China is not only stopping here. Rather, China wants to ensure that the Iran's relation with the entire Gulf cooperation countries also improve. And therefore, what China is now planning after that, China is planning to host a cross-Gulf conference of Iran. Fine, where the Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman will participate. These all countries are Gulf Cooperation Council countries. When we talk about the Iran and GCC relation, The Iran GCC relation were also very bad from so many of the years, and now the relations of Iran with the entire GCC grouping will be improved by China by hosting this Gulf Conference of Iran. This is something that the China is trying to do. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about this particular diplomatic compromise that has come, what is the reason why Saudi Arabia is reaching to Iran and why Iran is reaching to Saudi Arabia? What is the reason? So we will see the interest of three parties: interest of Saudi Arabia, interest of Iran, and the interest of China in all this particular matter, because without interest nobody does anything. Fine. Now see this thing. So basically today we see that West Asia is undergoing a kind of a strategic realignment. The West Asia is going through a strategic realignment. Now here we see this particular thing, that first of all in 2020 there was Abraham Accords that were signed. Okay, so in 2020 what happened? Abraham Accords were signed. These Abraham Accords were brokered or were negotiated by USA. And after this particular Abraham Accords, what happened? The diplomatic relations got started between UAE and between Israel. Between UAE and between Israel. Now UAE and Israel did not had the diplomatic relations earlier, but now it got started after Abraham Accords of 2020. Okay, this is something that happened. Now what, this is the one of the USA's approach. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that right now the USA has moved away from West Asia. Okay, so there is okay, so there is a so basically there is a deprioritization of West Asia that has been started by USA. What is deprioritization? Deprioritization means that for USA now West Asia is not important. Rather, USA is fixated on the Europe. Why? Because in Europe, the Russia-Ukraine war is now going on, and USA is interested more there. And because of the USA has kind of abandoned the region, now the Saudi Arabia needed a more meaningful partner. Now understand this thing, that first of all, earlier we have seen this particular thing, that the USA was a lot dependent on the oil imports as well. But today we see this thing, that the USA is itself becoming one of the largest producer of the oil. So today see, USA doesn't need Saudi Arabia that much. Okay, moreover Saudi Arabia also is facing a lot of strains between the US and Saudi Arabia ties. So Saudi Arabia needs another partner or with whom it can carry the economic relations, and for that particular thing China is a meaningful choice. And if China is coming out with a proposal that you have to normalize the ties with the Iran, then the Saudi Arabia cannot put down that particular thing. Moreover guys, understand this particular thing, Saudi Arabia has also faced a lot of problems because of the Houthi backed attacks from the Yemen. So to solve that particular issue also, Saudi Arabia is basically trying to come with the Iran. Okay, now understand this particular thing guys. Now this particular step where Saudi Arabia and Iran relations had got normalized, this goes against what the US's priorities or what the US's interest was in long run. Let me explain you this particular thing. Basically from so many of the years, what USA was trying to normalize the relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel, not Saudi Arabia and Iran, Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now see this particular thing, first of all, when we talk about Saudi Arabia and Israel, between them diplomatic relations are not there, because guys we know this particular thing, that Israel, so Israel as a new country, Israel as a country which was established for the Jew people. So Arab world, which included the Saudi Arabia also, they believed that this is a kind of an intrusion on their lands. They believe that this is an intrusion over their lands, and because of that particular thing, the wars have also been fought between Israel and Saudi Arabia. So their relations are not good. USA wanted that the Saudi Arabia and Israel should come together. Why? So that they can be realigned against Iran. Right now, Israel and Iran are rivals, and before this agreement Saudi Arabia and Iran were also rivals. So USA wanted to bring these two together so that they can combinedly rival out the Iran, because Iran right now is also the rival to USA. Okay, this is something that is going on in this particular direction. So USA wanted that they should come together, but this has not happened. Rather, Iran and Saudi Arabia has come together. So USA internally might not be very happy, but on face of it they had said that this is a positive engagement. Now understand this particular thing, that why Iran is interested here, because right now Iran is facing the toughest phase of their economic isolation. There are so many sanctions that have been imposed on Iran. Okay, and because of that particular thing, poverty, economic issues within Iran have been not very much good. So they want the investments from China. They want investments from China. Also, they want the regional neighbors, which regional players which can support the Iran's economic transition. So therefore, they have done this particular thing. Now, why also the Iran is agreeing to what China is saying? Because recently China has allowed that Iran that they can withdraw $20 billion of funds from the banks. Now understand this thing, that from so many of the years I have told you that now see this this is this thing. So we have seen this particular thing that what has happened since 2020, sorry, yes, since so many of the years, USA and Iran relations were not good. And because of that thing, on Iran, a lot of sanctions have been imposed by the USA. And a lot of banks accounts in which the Iran money was there, it got frozen. And a lot of money of Iran was there also into the Chinese bank accounts that got frozen because of the USA's sanctions. But now within China and USA also, there is a rivalry that is going on. So therefore, China has agreed that, okay, we will give you back your money. So this is the reason that the Iran is becoming too much favorable to China. Now, the next reason that comes here is that what the China gets from this particular deal, what is the China's interest in this deal? So there are many reasons for this particular thing. First of all, understand this particular thing, that today China wants to project it as a regional superpower and then the global superpower. And for that particular thing, China wants to have certain diplomatic victories which China can use to showcase its credentials. And therefore, by this particular thing, China will call it as a diplomatic victory and will hail itself as the regional leader and then the global leader. Understand one more thing, that today China is world's largest oil buyer. Okay, and China wants a stability in the region from where the oil supplies are coming, that is the West Asia. So for this particular interest also, the China is helping negotiating this agreement. Moreover, historically we have seen that whatever the iconic diplomatic agreements that have been brokered, they have been done by the USA. For example, Camp David Agreement, Oslo Accords, Israel Jordan Treaty, Middle East Quartet, Abraham Accords of 2020. Fine. All these particular diplomatic agreements, which have been called as diplomatic victories, they have been convened by USA. But China now wants to be as a world leader. So China is also doing this particular thing. Also, by this particular thing, China is also trying to send a message to Global South. So Global South is a grouping of the developing countries. Okay, so China is also sending a message to them that I am your credible leader, I am your legitimate leader. So these are the things that for which China is facilitating such agreement. Okay, so that is all guys about it, and I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll move to next article. Supreme Court wraps Ministry of Defense over one rank, one pension arrear payment dues. Okay. Now, this particular article, guys, we'll see again with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 3. Fine. Issues related to defense, government schemes, okay, and all such places we can use it. Now, first of all, in this article as such, much important substance has not been given, but there is the mention of OROP, one rank, one pension. You need to see what is this OROP, what it stands for. Okay, so basically, one rank, one pension, it's a principle. One rank, one pension is a principle which means that there needs to be same payment of the pension to military officers if they have retired at same rank and if they have served for the same length of service. Okay, let's say there is a one military officer. Let's say there is a military officer by the name of Mr. X. Okay, he joined the armed forces. And served for, let's say, 15 years. And served, let's say, for 15 years. Okay, let's say there is another person, Mr. Y. Mr. Y also joined the armed services and he also served for 15 years and then he got retired. Let's say when Mr. X got retired and when Mr. Y got retired, they were at a same position. Okay. Now, what about their pension? So basically guys, right now there was basically originally before one rank one pension got implemented, there was a formula that their pension will be calculated as per the pay commission's recommendation of the time when they got retired. Now we know this thing that we have multiple pay commissions that have come. Okay, so let's say when X got retired, at that point of a time, fourth pay commission's recommendations were in force, and when Y got retired, then the sixth pay commission's recommendations were in force. Okay, this is the thing. Now obviously sixth pay commission's recommendations will be higher. Okay, so now on that particular basis, Y will get more pension, X because he got retired earlier, Mr. X will get the less pension. Okay, this was the earlier system. Now the armed services personals, they were not happy with this. They said that irrespective of the date when we got retired, if we have served for a particular duration of time, then every one of them should get a same pension. Okay, this was one rank one principle demand that was being made. Now what had happened earlier, government agreed to this one rank one pension program, one rank one pension demand. It was said that all the armed forces personnel who retired till 2014, they will be covered under one rank one pension. But what about the people who got retired after 2014? There was a demand by those people also. Then what happened? Basically, this on the recommendations of. Okay. Now, first of all, the implementation of this one rank one pension was done on the basis of the Koshyari committee report. Keep it in your mind. Now, further, the people who got retired after 2014 also, they wanted that we should also be included in one rank one pension. Then what happened? It was provided that the people who got retired till 2019, they will be covered under one rank one pension program. This is something that had happened. So what do we mean by one rank one pension? It simply means that there should be the same pension that should be given to the military officers for the same rank, for the same length of service, irrespective of the date of their retirement. Earlier this was done on the basis of the pay commission's recommendations. Now this is something that has happened. Okay, so basically now the officers retired till 2019 will be covered. But the point that has come here is that, guys, the Supreme Court has reprimanded the defense ministry. Why? Because up till now the arrears, 4 lakh defense personals who got retired, they are waiting for their pension under the one rank one pension, but they have not been given that particular money. So this is something that Supreme Court is asking, that on by what exact time you will clear the arrears or the pending payments. So for that particular thing, the Supreme Court has wrapped the Ministry of Defense. But this is not that much important. What we need to go too much in, what we need to understand, this concept of one rank one pension. Okay, that is all about it. And now, guys, moving to the next article. A chance for India to shape a data governance regime. A chance for India to shape data governance regime. Now, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues with respect to the right to privacy, as well as we will also see this particular article with respect to the data governance, again GS paper number 2, and such things can even be asked in GS paper number 3 as well. Okay. A chance for India to shape a data governance regime. A chance for India to shape a data governance regime. Now, first of all, guys, when we talk about the data privacy, already in Puttaswamy judgment of Supreme Court, right to privacy has been recognized as a fundamental right. And today, when we talk about privacy, our privacy in digital spaces have become really a challenge. A lot of data is being generated by individuals. Fine. What about ensuring that that particular data is not being misused or not being used against their wishes? So, conserving the data privacy, it has become a very important thing. Now, today, India has embraced technology, had embraced digitalization, and these technology and digitalization are being used as a tool to drive economic growth by India. Today, India is trying to change so many of the lives, but at the same time, India need to ensure that there are digital strategies, there are digital governance which need to be inclusive, which need to be transparent, secure, etc. Now we know this particular thing. Now we know this particular thing that presently what is happening. Okay. Now, meanwhile, India is also showcasing its ambitious program. We will know about this also. Okay, and we can use it in our answers. What else India is showcasing? Data empowerment and protection architecture, Deepa. Data empowerment and protection architecture, Deepa. Now, first of all, what is this Deepa? So, what is Deepa? Deepa is a consent management tool. Deepa is a consent management tool. Okay. Now, what do we understand by the consent management tool? Understand this particular thing. Uh, suppose, suppose I went to buy a SIM card. I went to buy a SIM card. Now you can get a SIM card, and for that you need to authenticate your ID. And what you can do, you can authenticate your ID just by your biometrics from your Aadhaar card. Okay. Now let's say I went to a shop and I want a SIM card. So the person there will ask my Aadhaar details. Okay. So I will give my Aadhaar details. Then I also have to give a consent that I am allowing this person, or I am allowing this telecom operator, that they can use my information from my Aadhaar database to authenticate me. I have to give a consent. So for giving such kind of a consents, we have designed a consent management tool, and that consent management tool is called as Deepa, that is Data Empowerment and Protection Architecture. Now, this particular Deepa, it has a lot of potential to improve the data protection, to ensure that people's data is not being used against their wishes. Okay, only the verified usage of data is there. So for data protection, for protecting the privacy of the citizens, and this also gives a greater control to the people over their own data. This is the Deepa. And these kind of things will help in building the trust in digital technologies by the people also. But at the same time, there are certain problems also associated with the Deepa. Now, what is the problem? Problem is with respect to the security. Now, it has been said that if this consent management tool get hacked, if this consent management tool is not properly implemented or managed, there is a risk that personal information could be misused, misappropriated. Even the consents can be given for those cases when the user actually didn't give any consent. Fine. So these kind of things can happen. Okay. So there is something, that is the issue that is going on. Therefore, it has been said that for a proper implementation of Deepa, we need to ensure that first of all, its entire ecosystem should be embedded in transparent processes. Okay. Moreover, there also need to be collaboration between the governments, private sector, civil society, stakeholders, so that a very clean, clear and effective standards can be implemented for it. Okay. This is something. Now further, it has been provided that for Deepa, we need to implement all these particular kind of things. Moreover, India in past have also taken some very good initiatives on financial inclusion, etc. For example, when we talk about India's UPI, Unified Payment Interface, it is commendable, it is appreciable. Even the Bill Gates have also appreciated India's UPI, because by that ease by which the money can be transferred, it has been achieved. This is a very commendable kind of a thing. Now, we need to ensure that the UPI type of success should be replicated in other areas also. Health. How in health we can use digital technologies, how in agriculture we can use digital technologies. We need to come out with this particular kind of idea. Now, it is being said this particular thing, that the ownership and governance of data generated in health and agriculture, who will manage that data, who will have right over that particular data, what type of rights are to be given. Okay, fine. For example, guys, let's say we in health sector a lot of data is being generated. For example, how many people approach the primary healthcare facilities, and what type of diseases they approach the primary healthcare facilities. On that particular basis, we can make trend analysis that what type of diseases people are getting infected with. Okay, and all such kind of data can be used. Now, what will be the right of the people over that data? We need to address these issues. We need to standardize this entire process. This is something that is being provided. Now, further moving on, there also comes the issue of the data sovereignty. Now, what do we mean by data sovereignty? First of all, data sovereignty means that a country in which the data is being generated, that the country will be owner of that particular data. Okay. For example, whatever data is being generated by Indians in India, on that particular data, primary power will be with the India. And under this data sovereignty, many number of times countries have also promoted data localization. What do we mean by data localization? Understand this thing, that whatever data you are generating, this data is actually stored in some physical servers. These physical servers right now are located in the European countries, not in India. So data localization means that India's data should be stored on physical server, which is also located in India. Now, why we demand data localization? Because of data sovereignty. Okay, so data sovereignty means that that a country has a right to control collection, storage and use of the data within its borders. Now, for that particular thing, India has also developed India Data Management Office, IDMO, India Data Management Office. And this India Data Management Office, it will oversee, coordinate and implement India's digital strategies, India's data governance. Okay, this is something that has been provided. Okay, now further article is also talking about this particular thing, that okay, we are doing a good work on data management in India, but vis-a-vis the data management is concerned, it's also being provided that we also need to open up the data silos. Now see this thing, today different ministries, different departments, fine, different levels of government, union government, state government are collecting the data on different dimensions, and these data are existing in compartment in silos. We need to come out with a process that we need to connect with these silos. We need to ensure this particular thing, that all data could be integrated together. All data could be integrated together. This is about it. Now, further moving on. So this is something that we need to do while ensuring that guys, the data while ensuring the optimal data management, we need to ensure this particular thing, that we need to have a middle path, middle way between restrictive data sovereignty and limitless data flow. Okay, now understand this thing. If we invoke a lot of digital sovereignty, then the tech companies, they will be hesitant to bring investments in India, because if we will not share data, if we will put a lot of obligations on them, they will not be very much incentivized to come in India. But if at the same time we don't invoke data sovereignty and there is complete free flow of data, then it can also be dangerous. So we need to manage that particular thing by a middle path. Okay, so moving on guys, this is all about this particular article. Now moving to next article, a reality check for foreign universities. Now this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 2, issues related to education. GS2, issues related to education. Okay, now fine. So basically guys, first of all, before going in this particular article, let me give you some of our background information. So we have seen few weeks back that UGC have allowed that foreign universities can open their campus in India. Foreign universities can open their campus in India. And when foreign universities will open their campus in India, they need to ensure that education that is being given in Indian campuses is on par with the education that they are giving in their home campus. Fine. They need not to teach any curriculum which will go against India's national interest. Fine. All these kind of things. Fine. Now, the article is talking about this particular thing, that how setting up foreign universities in India will not lead to a radical change in India. Fine. We are bringing these foreign universities because we think that a large number of people, Indian students, are migrating to other countries, and when they are migrating, it leads to brain drain. And we say particular reason that they are migrating is good education that is given by foreign universities. And we also say that if these universities are established in India, people will not migrate. But is it really the case? Fine, we'll see this particular thing. Now, the article is talking about this particular thing, that some people have rejected this government's initiative. They say that no, it is not going to bring any radical change, because students are not migrating to other countries for education, but they are migrating for many other reasons: cultural experiences, exposure, economic opportunities, employment. However, other people have welcomed it. They said that it is a good tool. Now, first of all, let's understand some of the basic things in this direction. Guys, as per All India Survey on Higher Education, right now there are 4.13 crore students that are enrolled in higher education. 4.13 crore students. Okay. And the enrollment rate right now is 27.3%. 27.3% is the enrollment rate. Now, the new education policy that came in 2020, it has a target that enrollment rate needs to be increased to 50% by 2035. Enrollment rate needs to be increased from 27.3% to 50% by year 2035. So obviously the students in the higher education will be increased. Almost it will become double. almost it will become double. So it has been provided that in 15 years, in next 15 years or next you can say 12 years or so, the students in higher education, they will double. Okay, but the large number of students that will be going, they are going to go in private institution. Okay, now it is being provided that, guys, today when we talk about the foreign universities, you are allowing them to come in India. When obviously they will come in India, let's say Stanford will open its campus in India, let's say Deakin University of Australia, it has already said that they will open their campus in India. So when these universities will come in India, obviously they will compete with whom? They will compete with the premier institutions of India, such as the IITs, IIMs, etc. Now here it is being said that if we take the example of the IIT Madras, now as per the data that we have, IIT Madras has 7,000 students and their operating expenditure is around 1,000 crore rupees for 2020. Their expenditure is around 1,000 crore rupees. This 1,000 crore rupees, a very less part of that they are getting it from its fees. Okay, a very less part they are getting from the fees. In large amount they are funded by the government. But when these foreign universities will come in India, okay, when these foreign universities will come in India, fine, obviously they will not be given that particular kind of a funding. So the fees that will be charged by these foreign universities will be very much high. When they have to compete with IITIMs, the fees will be very much high, which itself might become a disincentive. Moreover, they also have to bring foreign faculty. They have to invest a significant capital for premises and all such kind of a things. Now, these particular things will make education very much expensive. Now, see, today we find this particular thing that when we talk about the IIT is a success, why IITs are so successful? Low fees. Because of these low fees, even the poor people, people coming from the lower strata, lower economic strata of the society, they can join. And at the same time, high premium. There are high packages that are being offered in these particular institutions. So low fees, high packages. People are joining these institutions. People are mad behind these institutions. The same thing goes in IIM also. Okay, but when we talk about the foreign universities, when we talk about these universities that will open their campus, fine, the fees will be high, packages might also be high, but the fees is also very much high. So they will not be that much attractive. They will not be that much attractive. Now see, the GCC nation, Gulf Cooperation Council countries, they have invested a lot in branch campuses of foreign universities and are providing them financial incentives also. So if India also need to make them successful, we also need to provide them financial incentive. Only then they will be successful. Moreover, the article is also saying this thing that the students, Indian students, when they are traveling abroad, they are not traveling abroad just to get education, but they are traveling abroad to get better opportunities for cultural experiences, for other kind of exposures they get there. So these are the reasons that the students are traveling abroad. And these things cannot be satisfied just by opening of the foreign campuses in India. That is all about this article, guys. I hope that you have understood it. Now moving to the next article. Now, how a paper on room temperature superconductor is creating controversy. How a paper on room temperature superconductor is creating controversy. Guys, just give me 5 seconds. Okay. I hope that the voice is audible. Fine. Now, so basically, guys, this particular article we will see with respect to the science and technology related concepts for our prelims examination. Science and technology related concepts for our prelims examination. Okay. Now, understand that what is this room temperature superconductors? Fine. Now see this thing, guys, that when we generate electricity in a power plant, that electricity obviously will not be consumed at that place. That electricity is to be consumed at some other place. So how we ensure transmission of electricity from this point to other place? Through the wires. Okay. And when we transfer the energy or when we transmit the electricity from the wires, a lot of electricity is lost. Why? Because of the electrical resistance. Because of the electrical resistance. So the electricity that is generated, it is lost when it is getting transmitted to wires because of the electrical resistance. Okay, we use those type of materials which actually resist the flow of current. And if we want to ensure that no electricity is lost in the process, then we need to have such kind of materials which don't resist the flow of current. We need to find those kind of materials. And these materials are called as superconductors. These materials are called as superconductors. What are superconductors? Superconductors are those materials which can pass the electricity without any resistance, which can help in passing the electricity without any resistance. And if we are able to find these superconductors, then no electricity will be lost between the process. That is something that is there. Okay, so we need to find these superconductors. Now, the point is that till now we have tried to find some of the materials which can act as superconductor. For example, aluminium. Aluminium can become superconductor. But for aluminium to behave as a superconductor, fine, it needs a temperature of minus 250 degrees Celsius. So at minus 250 degrees Celsius, it will act as a superconductor. And maintaining such a low temperature is not feasible. So still, the scientists are in search of finding superconductors. Okay, they are finding such materials who can act as superconductor. So therefore, superconductors is not a very big problem. Rather, superconductor at room temperature and a particular atmospheric pressure is a very big problem. Now, in this particular capacity, guys, what has happened? The researchers in the US, led by Ranga Dias at the University of Rochester, they have said that they have found the room temperature superconductivity. So according to them, nitrogen doped lutetium hydride, fine, can be used as a superconductor at room temperature. Now this particular finding has been given. Now this particular finding is being scientifically criticized. It is being scientifically questioned. So that particular dimension has been given in this article. Now, do we need to go in that particular scientific critique for our examination? Not very much necessarily. Why? Because in our examination, the questions of general application of science and technology are asked. Moreover, secondly, this is a study that is being peer reviewed, and as it is being peer reviewed, there are many dimensions that will open up, which is not very much important for your exam, and by the time you will write your exam, many of these things might be revised as well. Next article, activist MPs flag RTA amendment in data protection bill. Okay, now basically guys, I've told you already that as the right to privacy has been recognized as a fundamental right, so to protect the data of the individuals, we have come out with Draft Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2022. Draft Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2022. Okay, now this particular bill is being criticized and it is being said that it is coming in conflict with one of the provision of the RTA Act. Let's understand that. So basically, RTA, Right to Information Act, was passed in 2005, and this particular act puts a responsibility on public authorities that they have to provide the information to citizens when it is being asked. Moreover, as far as possible, through suo motu effort by themselves, they also need to ensure that a lot of information is being put in public domain. That is the Right to Information Act. Now, within Right to Information Act, there is one section, that is section number 8, which talks about exemption. That is the cases when information will not be given. So as per the section 8, subclause 1, subclause J, it is being provided that officials can refuse to give the information if it intrudes on the privacy of an individual. If any information is being asked under RTA and if that information will violate a person's privacy, then that information will not be given. This is being given. But there is one exception also. The exception is that it permits the disclosure if there is an overriding public interest. However, if giving that information will serve public interest, then information has to be given. Then you cannot deny. Okay. Now, the Digital Draft Personal Data Protection Bill that has come, it has provided, it actually removes the provision from section 8. It says that it removes this condition of public interest disclosure. It say that now no information can be given. No personal information can be given. Even if it is serving the public interest, then also the information cannot be given. Now this is being criticized. It is being said that this particular provision will be misused. Suppose we are asking the information about a ministers, about a particular organization, and let's say there is a kind of a speculation that some kind of a irregularity has happened there, and some information is being asked. That information will be denied. Okay, this is something, because there can be the superficial grounds that we will not give this information, because then that particular person's privacy will be hampered, and how to justify that? So therefore, this particular provision is being criticized. Fine. And now the main practice question for today. The advances in financial inclusion and successful implementation of the UPI in India are commendable. Discuss how it can be replicated in other areas such as the health and agriculture. So this will be the 10 marker question for GS paper number 2. Fine. So that is all, guys, about the today's session, and with this we come to an end to the today's session. Guys, I hope that you have understood it, and guys, if you're liking the session, please do hit the like button, and please do subscribe to the channel. Please do share the initiative with your friends. Thank you so much, guys. Please